Welcome to New York City. Manhattan, East Village, Ukrainian Village. One of my favorite parts of New York City. This is where I spent most of my time living here. This time I'm just visiting. Some of my friends live around here. Got the police station right here, 9th precinct. Yeah. So what's changed since the last time I was here? Which I walked around in December. And I also was here in a year ago. But yeah, summertime 2021. I think it's largely the same. It came back. It was kind of down during the pandemic, and now it feels like it's back up. Lots of movement, lots of people, lots of bars and stuff. Effectively, this part of the city acts as New York University's NYU campus area. This is where the kiddos hang out. And since NYU doesn't have its own sort of proper campus area, since it's embedded in the city, all the student activities, including entertainment and eating, spills out onto the streets here. They rent around here, they study, they sit in coffee shops around here. Last night I had a wonderful pepperoni slice. I mean, I've traveled around the world, but I still think that New York City pizza is the best, the bomb. I'm not sure what it is. It's gotta be something about the water they use in the sauce. I don't know. The thin dough. It's a little campus security vehicle here. Yeah, it's summertime, or just before summertime starts, is one of the best seasons, one of the best times to be in New York City. I'm glad to have come by here at this time before I go to my next destination. East 4th Street, the street that I actually used to live on. There's a couple of avenues behind me. Used to be my apartment that I rented here for a while. I used to come down this street to go to the gym. Lower Manhattan is definitely the youth neighborhood of New York City. I mean, there's plenty of elderly people, but it's definitely where the student vibe comes through very strongly. Broadway. Broadway is what separates East Village from West Village. West Village is also known as Greenwich Village, or the Village for those who are local. So I'm currently, I think this patch is called NoHo, which is north of Houston. And if you are a visitor or you've been living here for a short time, you call Houston Houston, because it's exactly how it's spelled, just like the city of Houston. But everybody who's from here or who lived here for a while knows that it's Houston. strangely. I mean, to be honest, both of those pronunciations are a little weird. Houston, Houston. Yeah. But yeah, here we go. So and below Houston is, of course, SoHo, which is south of Houston. And I think there are certain similarities with London here that I'm yet to find out. But from what I hear, one of the famous streets in London is Bond Street, which is also here. Right here we have Bond Street in Manhattan, and it's, to me, it's notable by the fact that it's actually one of the rare streets that is cobblestone. It's hell to ride on a bicycle, but you can see it's really rare. Most streets are paved by now in New York City. And of course the neighborhood SoHo also can be found in London. Hello, this is me from the future. I am in London all of a sudden, and believe it or not, I'm entering SoHo. So hello, Vasily from the past. I'm now going to confirm whether or not SoHo in London looks like SoHo or feels like SoHo in New York. One stark coincidence is that Chinatown and SoHo are connected in New York as they are in London. Well, me from the past, I don't think it's a fair comparison, but there are some similarities. I think SoHo in London is a lot seedier and more colorful as far as nightlife goes. Bleecker Street. What's notable about the NoHo SoHo area is that you get a lot of cast iron building decorations, such as pillars that kind of loosely mimic the Roman pillars and some like Italian style buildings and such. But these are all cast iron. It's from the era of metallurgy on the rise. So they would create these metal pieces and arrange them on facades of buildings. Yep, you can even find it here. Yeah, this is all metal painted over. Looks like clay, but in fact it's cast iron right here as well. Yep. So this area actually used to be a place where they would have showrooms for these. That's why it's just full of this kind of finish. And here's Houston, West Houston. This is the famous divider. Up ahead you see SoHo, and there is NoHo. Here are some buildings where professors and university staff live in. So it's kind of a campus right here. Again, lots of buildings with metal finish. Lots of iron cast details. Like you can see here. Painted over and over and over. Yeah, like this half pillars. You see, they're just like done to here and glued on. There's gonna be entire buildings with metal finish like this one. Fantastic. And this one right here. The front is fully made of metal. That sure sped up the process of molding these perfect shapes. Something people used to have to do by hand over years. Here, boom, was a revolution. SoHo is one of my favorite neighborhoods in New York because of the vibrant nature, and people come here for shopping and they're really in a good mood. I think there's lifted spirits here because everyone has some new stuff they just bought. The ladies love shopping. The gentlemen appreciate shopping, certainly. Got these sunglasses somewhere around here some years ago. Easy. Too many people in SoHo. How to cut through the crowds. Walk on the bus lane. And back on the sidewalk, where the most well-dressed young people stroll with their shopping bags. Knockoff sunglasses. When I lived in New York, I learned to walk fast, and this is one thing that you notice right away. probably the only city in the world where people walk significantly faster than me. Not everybody, but I can find people who walk a lot faster than me, which is unusual. Most places I go to, I'm the fastest walker, as long as my legs permit. You'll notice about New York that there's not much greenery here. The streets are very concrete, metal, and glass. A little bit of wood, not a lot. But the natural greenery is just not here. The trees that you'll see on the streets of New York are dark green. At least that's what I'm seeing today. A lot of dark green, which is nice, but also it's not a nature-rich place. Lower Manhattan especially. I'm on Bowery, one of the rare streets, apart from Broadway, where there's no street or avenue or way or place next to it. It's just one word, Bowery. Something from the Dutch language, in the Dutch, Boveri, something like that. Yeah, used to be a dump. Used to be like a proper dangerous place. These days, pretty fancy. John Varvatos shop, sushi restaurants. Yeah, it's a really posh place these days. Very happening. Crossing on red. As always in New York City, it's one of the cities where this is not penalized. Well known and desirable, the Bowery Hotel. As you can tell, some of these shops mastered the art of building outside sections after COVID. Like this one, really nice and neat. Or during the COVID pandemic, they had to build this extra seating on the side of a road to comply with the WHO regulations and New York City requirements to not let people gather inside to prevent the spread. Whether or not it was effective is questionable. Nonetheless, they were forced to build these outside seating areas. Some of them are even heated. And last time I saw them, they were not very impressive, but these days they're awesome, and I think in exchange for taking away the parking spaces from the city and the city drivers, they now have extended their restaurant space like that, and it looks like it's permanent, even though the pandemic is pretty much over and people are barely wearing masks and definitely not social distancing. Yeah, that's the mutation that happened during pandemic. And this concludes my walk around Lower Manhattan for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like a little bit more of that type of content. I'm not planning on living in New York. Well, I'm planning on living somewhere. I don't know where. But wherever I go, I'd like to share things that I notice, things that change, things that make the place different from other places that I know. Anyway, click like, subscribe, tell your friends.